danske forsikringsselskaber leverer hvert år.
Sometimes I think about, does love still exist? Yeah, I have my doubts. On the street, I check out how brothers be living. Yo, let's just say, kid, it ain't no Thanksgiving. We got people shooting dope, ain't never heard of hope. We got others with the gat and the brothers with the fucking scope. As I enter the projects, enter rec rooms, some brothers might see the doom. I see my nigga Paulo, fat pockets of papes. He knows the neighborhood biddies with all the dopest shapes. There goes Rollo with the blowout fro. He's got a gap, ayo niggas gots to go. No show is live with narrating, fuck Memorex. My nigga Rollo's got a gat at Paulo's chest. One slug blasted out, down boy died. Now show me some love, kid, it sounds like a fucking lie. The struggle goes on, people trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long, pain without a limit, so wrong. Sometimes I think how the world come to this, a place where every man and woman needs a therapist. Mass confusion, people living in delusion, justify all the bullshit through the Constitution. Meanwhile, the masses struggle to survive. I think we're too busy to hear our people's cries. Singles mothers struggle to raise families, genocide committed through famine and disease. I wonder if these things will ever cease to exist. I know it could if we cease and desist. Giving all the power to the industrialists, giving all our power to the damn commercialists. They see us just as being sheep in this world, that want us to do what we're told like boys and girls. Oh God, I wanna live another day so I can help provide equality and this day. The struggle goes on, people trying to survive, hold on. Though we know it's been so long, pain without a limit, so wrong. Everybody around the globe, open up your earlobe, your third eye, and then decipher the code. Through knowledge, understanding, then bring love into the concept instead of bling bling. Truth instead of biased educational methods, twisting, contorting God's message of love for every human being. Listen, motherfucker, don't you hear the screams? It's time to do much more than talk, debate, and spread hate. We need to think and at the same time investigate, understand what our actions may create. Before continuing the cycle we procreate, we can clone humans, but at the same time we can't feed humans. The future of man is actually looming. It's really depressing, it's true. And yes, you know the struggle goes on, people trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long, pain without a limit, so wrong. They want war. Crime babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued when the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every clue. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Even 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and I feel we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic lotus coming out of the mud with colors. I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers. Cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TVs whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't dare, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't stare. And like an ad, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison.
They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. Them diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. Them diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
Doesn't matter who.
Check. All right, here we go, y'all. How's everybody doing? It is 0942 Central European Time. That makes it 0342 Late Night Stroll Eastern American Time. And that makes it about 12:01, something like that, 042 Pacific Time in the Americas. And I guess that will make it around lunch in the Middle East, and then on into Asia towards the evening. What's up, everybody? Back at you again. Thanks for joining me again to another dope-ass podcast. Original, you know what I'm saying? And I'm actually proud of myself, you know, because I had this idea that it would be important for Americans to have different outlets for truth, different outlets for information, not just what's going on inside of the legacy media and inside of the government loop, you know, in the United States. And I'm an American citizen, born and raised Washington, D.C. My family goes back on both sides to the colonial period. So I really love my country. And my family has sacrificed and paid the ultimate sacrifice time and time again, generation after generation, for my country. And, you know, I just hate to see it be in shambles, you know, and there's a lot of confusion, and I understand that. I can see it. Look, when you have, there's a lot of people that want to say they're right. Everybody wants to say they're right. Everybody wants to say their side is right. But the fact remains is that Americans don't agree on what right is. And for example, myself being an American born in Washington, D.C., whose family goes back to the colonial period on both sides. I got family all over the U.S., by the way. I have a particular perspective. And the fact that I've traveled outside of the U.S. too, it gives me more perspective also. But I have a perspective on what's been going on in the U.S. And my perspective is not negating history, not negating facts, not just pushing people aside saying they don't matter. No, the way I look at it is I say everyone's contributed. But everybody in America doesn't feel that way. Everybody in the U.S. doesn't feel like everyone's contributed. And there are some people in the U.S. that suddenly they get to think they have the right to tell everybody who an American is. They think they have first right, which I often find silly because Stephen Miller is one of those people. Look at him. He's got his own family member out there calling him out, saying, man, you're a sellout immigrant. I mean, you know what I'm saying? His own family's calling him a sellout immigrant. Like, come on, you know? And it's all because he doesn't want to see that he's breaking the law and being a hypocrite to who he is. Stephen Miller, your family just showed up in the U.S., man. You guys need to, you know, slow your roll a little bit, man. I mean, it's only what, 1-2 generations, and you're like really like you're justifying hostile, deadly force towards other American citizens. You're justifying it. And somebody say, can I increase my volume? Let me check the audio real quick. How is it now? How's the audio now? I mean, is it good now? How's that? Yeah. And, you know, this episode is about disinformation. I hope it's good now. You know what I'm saying? But this episode is about disinformation. And there's a lot of disinformation on the internet, right? And the audio was fine. Yeah, you know, it's different for everybody. You can't please every single person the same way. I'm not designed to. I'm my own particular person. If you have an audio button, turn it up if you think it's too low. And if you think it's too loud, turn it down if you think it's too loud. I'm not like you. I look different from you. I live my life different from you. I made different choices than you every single day of the week. I take a leak different than you. You know what I'm saying? The food I put in my body is different than the food you put in your body. The music I listen to is different, you know? So keep that in mind. Everyone shouldn't have to be like you to get along. Fine. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But in any case, I try to appease people, but you can't go too far. You know what I'm saying? People will have you dying trying to appease them when they do nothing for anybody else, you know. But in any case, back to Stephen Miller. Let's stick on topic. Is disinformation, and you know, the disinformation works like this. You will have trolls on the internet paid by the government, you know, and a lot of trolls paid by the government or paid by PACs, they like to come to my page because the reason why is because they know what I'm saying has impact, right? So, you know, they target people's pages like mine and they go around the internet, and that's what they're paid to do because, you know, they want to keep the momentum, and they want to, you know, make you believe there's more people that think certain things than there are when really they're a dying breed. Listen, the people that support Stephen Miller, the people that support Donald Trump, they are lower than they've ever been in the United States of America right now. And yeah, and you simply can't hide it. The moment when Fox News is dissing Trump and you know, left and right media is dissing Trump, that tells you that his favorability is going down, regardless of what the trolls on the internet say. So what I like to do, so we can get around the internet trolls, right, is just let everybody know. Let's see here if anybody's in the chat. If you see anyone, I'm gonna leave the chat open. If you see anyone in the chat, right, say something stupid that sounds troll-like, just ask them, what state do you live in and who is your healthcare provider? Okay. Let's have real talk. We don't want agents, because we know agents, we know how much they get paid. They don't get paid a lot. They don't get paid a lot. You know, these are mercenaries. That's why they hide their faces, you know, when they go out to do their work. You see what I mean? They want to get a buck. They're ashamed of what they do. They don't get paid much to do what they do. I mean, you think about it. If I'm going to kill you, it's going to be for personal reasons, but you ain't going to pay me a cheap ass salary to go around killing and beating on people. That's just not me. I've never been that type. I've never been that type, and I'm damn sure not going to do it to people to fucking Americans, yo. I'm just not going to do that. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that. Listen, America has different geographical places, you know, different spaces, man. And, you know, if you've never been around the United States of America, I would suggest you try it. I would suggest you try it a little bit, right? Don't be so judgmental of the people, no matter where you come from, and just try it. Try this big, beautiful landmass. I mean, for once, you know, don't Don't think you're so different. You know what I mean? So just because you don't understand what someone else is saying and understand their vernacular or understand their environment is no need to get hostile. Listen, people that live in urban cities, they may have a need for the federal government to support them in different ways than people that live in the valleys, in the savannas. People in the mountains may have a need for the federal government to service them a little bit different than people in the savannas or people on the coast. Why? Because these are geographical differences that you just can't get beyond. You just can't get beyond it. And there could also be community differences. Look, if you live in a community full of, let's say here, Christians, right? Even though Christian is a general term, there's a whole lot of different kind of Christians. I don't even know what that means anymore. But let's say you live in a town where there's a whole lot of Christians. Let's leave it at that. Okay. Now, when you get married, you're supposed to be a virgin. Okay. When you get married, you're supposed to be a virgin now, according to the Bible. Now, nobody's making you not be a virgin. I'm not making you not be a virgin. You have the right to live your life how you want to live it. If you're a Christian, by all means, man, be a virgin. Men, women, you males, go out there and follow that Bible. Now, you should, and you women too, if you're going to be about it. But don't blame someone else because they see right through you. Don't blame someone else because that's just not what they caught up in. Don't blame them. Don't get hostile politically on them. You see what I'm saying? Like, live and let live, man. Live and let live. Learn how to do that. You see what I mean? And it's Trump's approval rating is 30%. And no troll is going to do a damn thing about that. You ain't fooling nobody. We know they're already planning on sending out military to the voting poll stations. They so goddamn scared. I mean, what the fuck? They scared of a vote. Every other Western country. You know what I did when I voted out here? I can't vote for, I don't vote for the parliament, but I vote for the local commune that I live in, Copenhagen commune, right? It's like a state, you could say, right? So I can vote in state elections over here, but I'm not a citizen, so I can't vote in the federal elections, right? But when it comes time for the commune election, I get a little notice in the mail. You know what I do when I vote? I go down, get my little notice, open it up in the mail, take that little notice over to the voting station on the day of the voting thing. I wait in the line about, half an hour, 45 minutes. I had to go around the damn block. But hey, that's what voting is like, man. You get proud when you see a line around the block. You know that, damn, man, people understand today is important. It's the day we're going to decide the fate of what's going on. And we're going to stand out there, everybody together, not harassing each other, not even asking who you voting for. Nobody asked. I think people were like, happy to see me show up because they was like, yeah, that's good, man. This guy, he's not from here. I think they could, maybe some assume, maybe some don't, but let's just say for the ones that assume I'm not from here, at least they know I believe in voting, right? So that's a good look, right? So I voted. It was a peaceful time. It was a peaceful experience. Voted, and guess what? The party that I voted for got more seats. Right. Hey, the party I voted for is doing some things. People like healthcare in Denmark. People like education in Denmark. They like it. So no matter if they just have an idea one day and they say, you know what, I want to take up this education, they can go do it. Folks like that. You know why they like that? Because then there's less excuses about why you can't get the job you want to get or can't live your life the way you want to live it. You can't blame it on somebody else then, because you had an opportunity and you still have opportunity. So, it's hard to blame other people when you got opportunity, but, in the U.S., we know things are not that way because people don't vote that way. And we know Americans, wow, they don't want to blame the billionaires. They want to blame the little people that have the least amount of power. It's easier to scapegoat them. You know what I mean? And make believe and fabricate that there's, right now, if you listen to Americans, every problem that exists in America hinges on illegal immigration. If you listen to them, it doesn't matter if you're on the fucking net. And they always bring it back to immigration. Like, Damn, have you even looked at any data? Do you even know what's wrong with any problem? They just like, no, it was immigrants, housing. Immigrants, they was taking too many housing. Healthcare. Immigrants, they was getting too much free healthcare. Education. Immigrants was getting too much free education. Like every goddamn thing. Job. Immigrants was getting too many goddamn jobs. It's like, damn, man, is there anything comprehensive about it? Just one goddamn thing? What's up, Alexander Tate? What's up, Tate? You know, it's like, what the hell, man? Yeah, mobility, exactly. Social mobility. You can do something. You know, the commune is working for people. It's doing its job over here, man. The U.S., man, it's like we banging our heads upside the on the wall, like just trying to see the facts. And it's like some people just are not getting them, you know, and disinformation plays a big role in that. Disinformation is so big right now that even the EU is like, whoa. We're going to have to fucking drop Facebook, and we're going to have to make our own Facebook. We're going to have to make our own social media because these Americans do not want to be not only normal, but they just don't want to fucking be fair. Like, they just don't want to be fair about information. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it is. They don't want to be fair about information. Look, if you just let information flow naturally and be honest, like me, I'm here. I'm telling you what I think for real. I'm not hiding behind a emoji. I'm not hiding behind a fake account. I'm not telling you something that I don't believe just to convince you to do something else that's harmful for you. Listen, ICE agents, you should want everyone in your family, everyone in your block, everyone in your neighborhood to have access to education. You should want that yourself. ICE agents, you should want everyone in your community, everyone in your family, everyone on your block to have access to healthcare yourself. You should want that. And if the party that's giving you money to go around and violate people's Fourth Amendment rights and First Amendment rights doesn't even have a healthcare plan, that's a clear indication you're on the wrong side of it. You're on the wrong side of the battle. If they're giving you a stick to hit somebody, a gun to shoot somebody that just wants everyone to have access to healthcare, don't you know someone else having access to healthcare can save your life? Don't you know if there's a pandemic, somebody going to school and not being vaccinated or being sick and not being able to go see a doctor can cause you harm in the grocery store just because they have to go buy some food that day and they're sick, but they still have to go? I mean, is that what you want going on? You see what I mean? Like, I'm sorry. And, you know, there's a lot of things that can be done. But right now, as Americans, we're proving we don't know a lot. Yeah, Rafiki, you don't use your Facebook. Yo, Facebook and a lot of books right now, you know. But I would say the strong people, I appreciate you all. Even the people out there on the street, they're not hiding behind a social media thing. They're like out there in the street really putting their lives on the line, trying to help people. And, you know, folks are up there in Minnesota. They mobilizing troops in Minnesota, but there's more, you know, quote unquote, illegals or, you know, down in the southern border. It's just that simple. Trump ran on the southern border and yet he's up in Minnesota. You know, it's like there's nothing that's going to make sense. These, you know, they ran on disinformation. The whole Trump campaign ran on disinformation. They had you thinking it was you know, the people that want abortion rights. They had you thinking that these people are in cahoots with Epstein. They had you thinking the people that want health care for everybody are in cahoots with Epstein. They had people thinking the people that want, you know, education for everybody are in cahoots with Epstein. And lo and behold, they found out, no, they're in cahoots with the right wing that don't want you to have none of that shit and hoard all the money, you know? So, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy right now, you know, in the U.S. So I really hope that people don't settle for the lies, you know, and of course, people like myself, we have to do our part. We have to call it out. We have to be present and show people what it's really like to have an opinion. And I don't have to be perfect. I can actually make mistakes because making mistakes shows you're a real person. You see what I mean? It's how you adjust to making mistakes that shows your character. You see what I mean? And hold on, let me see. Can you read a lot of things and can tell it? You can read a lot of things and tell it's a lie. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They have people out there, which kind of lets you know it's a coordinated attack. The disinformation is just part of the attack because they're repeating the same talking points as Trump, so it's very coordinated. It's very coordinated. It's not by chance. It's not by accident. When they wanted to take Greenland, you saw when the hype was about taking Greenland, you saw the disinformation show up and just all of a sudden, very coordinated with the same little talking points that don't make any sense, that aren't fact checked, that aren't verified, that are lies, that are literally lies. And they try to do this, or when they, it's Putin-esque. If it's not Putin, it's Putin-esque. When you heard them want to invade Ukraine, same kind of lies. They put this lie out about, NATO is infringing on Russia. And if you hadn't done this, meanwhile, they get people away from listening and talking to the people on the ground. What's your history? What's your story? How do you feel? What's gone wrong with your relationship with Russia? And if you just ask the Ukrainians about their situation, who they are, what they feel, why this conflict exists, you would understand. But if you just go on the internet and expect that you're going to hear people tell you the truth, it's crazy. Going into Iran, Iran. I mean, right now it's really, it's also, it's in the Middle East. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And these are hard times to the more helpless you are, I would say, the harder it is to navigate through the lies. When people stand together, the lies have less of an effect, right? When people stand together and dispute these things, and stand up strong, mobilize. But the less organized you are, the less friends you have, the more, the more you're out there to be harmed, sadly enough, regardless of what happens. Look at what happened with Venezuela, for example. The situation with Venezuela, that's a history lesson for you. That's a long point in history. If you have to study it all to really understand the background. Nonetheless, Venezuela's never been an enemy of the United States of America. Venezuelan people are just like American people. So there's no cultural real differences there. But all of a sudden, you will see the situation spring up where versus drugs. And this is how we're going to stop drugs. Remember, Trump said he was going to stop drugs, right? Illegal immigration on the southern border of the U.S. and stop drugs. Did he stop drugs? No. Drugs cost the same in the U.S. right now. So how is that possible that border control is working on the southern border? It's not working. It's just doing the same thing it's always done, right? So he started off saying drugs is a part of it. I want to help but he doesn't want people to, he doesn't want to pay. They don't want to use federal dollars to help people get get into drug clinics and get into spaces where they can help get off of drugs, right? He doesn't want to help support those things, right? But he's telling you it's about border control. Well, then he says in Venezuela, he wants to stop drugs. And then all of a sudden it turns to now we want to change the regime. We want to get Maduro. Man, you don't want to change nothing. You're not going to change anything about Venezuelans or their power structure that way. It has to be an approach that is respectful of the real situation there, and an approach that recognizes the history, first of all, so you can communicate with both parties fairly, because they have grievances that need to be worked out that are largely geopolitical grievances. You know what I'm saying? And so, that's something that can be done when you have a real person that wants to actually help them solve this situation, but we're not helping with Trump. Let me see here. Let me see here. Alex said, remember Russian invading Ukraine in 2014 was extremely confounded by the lack of response. Yeah, exactly. And we didn't, in the U.S., we didn't respond strong enough. And it's, of course, it's a different story today, you could say, than 2014. But look at what happened. We didn't respond strongly enough. And look, they took Crimea and now they want to take more. And the issue should have just been sovereignty. Do you have the right to invade nations or not? And this is the same thing. The same thing, we're using exercising, trying to take Greenland or go to Venezuela. It's the same thing Putin is doing. He made the same type of emergency excuses, why it's for security. Russian security is why we have to do it. It's scary, and people didn't act on it, and the disinformation that was out there spread around the world. None of it had anything to do with sovereignty. You would hear people talking about colonialism and NATO and, NATO expansion and homogeny and la, la, la. People say all these things and nobody said, yeah, but sovereignty makes it wrong. No matter what your philosophy is, no matter what your policy is, sovereignty makes it wrong. You know what I'm saying? And we talking about, fix a thorn. We're talking about disinformation, the role that disinformation has been playing, across in the U.S., in the elections, in the EU, in the elections. And as a matter of fact, let me, if you want to hop up, let me see. If you want to hop up, here's the link. You got to go here and you got to leave me your number, and you need to leave me your handle in the chat so I know who you are. And then I'm going to add you to my, I'm going to send you my number, or I'm going to add you on WhatsApp, and then you'll be able to call in. Let me see here. Let me just do that right now. Facebook. Let me see. I'm going to leave you the link where you have to go in Messenger to do it. HTTP. Boom, boom, boom. Dot. Yeah, there it is. So if anybody wants to hop up, but in any case, yeah, and we shouldn't in modern society, we should not still be trying to take over land. Exactly. No matter what the excuse is, we shouldn't be actually saying that we're going to colonize people today. I mean, it happened in the past. It's not an excuse for today. You remember they found a Musk all account on X. Yeah. Exactly. The French raided his office. Is that what you're talking about? They raided his offices like 2 days ago or yesterday. Was it 24 hours ago? Raided Elon Musk offices, and man, I mean, but they're all caught up in it. And I'm glad you brought that up, because it appears as if all of these not all the rich people, but a lot of these people associated with Elon Musk were very much aware of this hostile takeover of the U.S. and ideas that they keep, putting out there, in the echo chamber, like this Greenland thing, like this Monroe Doctrine thing. It seems like they've been talking about this shit for years while they in bed with each other, doing little things to little girls and all of this shit, and boys, by the way. It seems like this is something that's been going around in their little private closed circles. Even Steve Bannon, I mean, you see how they work together. Steve Bannon is out there 2019 trying to repair the most prolific pedophile's reputation on earth. He literally tried to repair Epstein's reputation before he went to jail. I mean, they have no shame whatsoever. They have no shame whatsoever. It's just ridiculous. It's really sad. Let me see. Yeah, let me see here. Where should I start at with this crap today, man? There's so much going on in the news today, though. But let me just stick on disinformation. I mean, most of us here, we kind of know that disinformation played a huge role in all the elections, in the last 20 years in the U.S. I mean, they put a lot of focus on how could you have Trump running? First of all, how could you have Trump running? All these people know damn well what he was doing, and they supported him anyway in 2016, and with money and funds and again in 2020 election, they knew what he was doing, and these people supported him anyway. The secret may have been to the public. We didn't know all the shit that was going on. How can the public know? We didn't know We're finding out now because they're releasing the files, But the truth is that we didn't know, so we could be susceptible to a lot of the games just because we don't know what was going on, right? But they knew, and it's wrecking the world. It's wrecking the world. I mean, they're all connected. All the disinformation you see online, they're all the same power structures that are putting the disinformation out are the same power structures that were involved in Epstein scandal and sex trafficking, espionage, all of that shit. It's all the same structure. So if it includes Putin is involved in the U.S. structure right now. If it includes Elon Musk is involved in the U.S. structure and the government right now. If it involved Trump is involved, Epstein and Trump are involved, it's Epstein, it's that whole little circumference. If it involves Israel's involved. They knew something about it. I mean, their leaders knew something about it, and there's no need for us to try to cap about it. They knew something about it. Someone in their intelligence agency knew about Epstein and knew about connections to Putin and knew all of that shit. They could do it. And let's just be honest. None of these people thought about the American people. None of them thought about healthcare. None of them. See, most people care about healthcare working. Most people care about education working. Most people care about fair housing. Most people care about that kind of stuff. These people, they ain't think one thing about it. That was not on their mind at all. It doesn't even matter at all. You know what I mean? Like they just yeah. In any case, yeah. I'm gonna I'm looking at the chat. I see, like I said, if you see somebody in the chat that's not making any sense, just ask them what state they live in and who their healthcare provider is, because we got to keep it contextualized. It's 100% understandable. U.S. citizens are upset about Israel having it. Yeah, exactly. We should be, and it is just like everyone should be right now across Europe. People that are found out, you had somebody working in NATO, I think it was for Sweden, they had to step down. They were fired. Somebody in Norway, in your country, Alexander, was it the queen or not the queen, a princess or one of them, somebody in the royal family that was found out in the Epstein things, they're out there apologizing. But right now in Europe, in the UK, it's somebody who was also found out, stepped down. Anybody in Europe that's connected to the Epstein files is stepping down and being removed. However, in the U.S., everybody in the Epstein files is being promoted. It's the exact opposite. And listen, Europeans should applaud yourself because you want to survive. You want to survive. And when you want to survive, you can't have these people in your government. They will fucking destroy it. And even if they don't know it, even if that's not their intention, it will happen because somebody has dirt on them. You see what I mean? So you can't have people in government that can be blackmailed any day of the week just because they were on Epstein Island. So Europeans understand that. Americans, we still trying to elect more of these people. They tried to appoint someone is in line to be signed to the Supreme Court that was on Epstein Island right now. It's like, no. That's really, really strange. Yeah, Norway has national health care. Let me see. Princess was friendly with him and the former prime minister. Yeah, that's not a good look. And but I'm quite sure Norwegians are going to deal with it. And I don't have anything against anything in Norway because I'm a person that believes if you're going to be very, very critical, you at least need to know something. Like you, Alexander, it's fine for you to be critical. It's your own country and you live there. So I live in Denmark, so I could be a little critical at times, but I'm an American and I can be a whole lot fucking critical about the U.S. You see what I mean? It helps when we do it that way because then we can all team up together and fix shit. You see what I mean? Like I don't want to undermine anybody else's struggle for freedom in their own country, and I'm not trying to, how can I say this, step on people's toes that are trying to clean up this mess. You see what I mean? So I try to stay in my lane, But I have been hearing these stories. I mean, it's all over the internet. Let me pull this shit up right now, man. It's all over the internet. Let's see here. Boom. Let me go. As a matter of fact, let me make 2 changes real quick. I need to flip this one over to here. Right. So I can change this around. Now I can go to this. Here we go. Now let's see here. I can watch the chat now and actually see what y'all talking about at the same time. Now let me go to let me see. Let me go to the media here. Let's go to YouTube. Boom, boom, boom. If too many trolls come in the chat, I'm gonna put it in subscriber mode. So don't worry. But yeah. There's some people out there that's wilding out. Let's see here. Norway. Trump loses it all. Yeah, Trump ain't losing it all. I'm so embarrassed right now. He should be impeached. Norway, royal family, Epstein. You know, this is dangerous. This Epstein shit was way more dangerous than people realized, you know, globally. It's globally a problem right now. Let's see here. Let's check this one out real quick. Let me see. Is the audio on?
Crown princess who pleaded not guilty in Oslo to 4 charges of rape. His attorney denying all charges of sexual abuse as he faces more than 10 years in prison if convicted. The trial opens against a backdrop of almost daily revelations surrounding his mother, Crown Princess Mette-Marit, who appears in emails showing extensive contacts with the late US sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Mette-Marit has expressed regret and embarrassment, though she says that Epstein is, quote, solely responsible for his actions. Plenty of attention on the trial of Marius Borg Høby, the son of Norway's crown princess who pleaded not guilty in Oslo to 4 charges of rape. His attorney denying all charges of sexual abuse as he faces more than 10 years in prison if convicted. The trial opens against a backdrop of almost daily revelations surrounding his mother, Crown Princess Mette-Marit, who appears in emails showing extensive contacts with the late US sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Mette-Marit has expressed regret and embarrassment, though she says that Epstein is, quote, solely responsible for his actions.
Right. And let me see. Alexander said that's the stepson of the future king. The king doesn't have power. Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize that in the nations that in Europe that have kings, they don't trump the parliament. The parliament has the power. They're more like a cultural symbol, and they have some official capacity. Like when you vote to establish a government, different parties come together because there's many parties. It's not like the US. The US might have 2 parties. Well, in Europe, in European nations, they typically have, 5, 10, some places like Denmark, 20 parties, but let's say 5 or 6 or 7 major parties, right? And so no matter who gets the most votes, they still have to work with others to form an actual government, a functioning government, that is, appoint ministers and things like that. And once you appoint your ministers and have all that shit together, then you go to the royal family and they give you their blessing. That's kind of like the tradition. I don't know, Alex, let me know if I'm wrong about that. I think they can they vote resolutions and dissolve parliament, but that's a nuclear option. Right. Exactly. If all hell is breaking loose, then they have the nuclear option. They should be careful because that nuclear option is not looking like it's a good thing to have when you're hanging out on Epstein Island, yo. It's like, like, what is that nuclear option all about, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'm not dissing them or anything. I'm just like, wow, okay. Yeah, but typically that's how it works. They don't exercise any power. It's more like they bless it, the government that's been established by the people. And of course, the voters would be hella pissed, by the way. The taxpayers would be hella pissed if they don't have a democracy. But in any case, yeah, that was Norway. That was a little tidbit about Norway and the Epstein thing, but there's others. It's not even just Norway. It's let's see here. It's the UK Epstein files. It's like, damn, and keep in mind, Elon Musk is trying to spread disinformation right now in the UK regarding the election. So you see, this is the same connection points, the same type of shit. Let me see here. Starmer, is this about it? Is this it? Let me see here. I think this is it. This is also a little tidbit about what's going on in the US right now with Starmer, I think. Let's see here. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't been following. I've been relaxing.
Leader of the opposition, Kevin Bannon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The whole House will be disgusted by the latest revelations about Jeffrey Epstein. All of us want to see his victims get justice. But the political decision to appoint Epstein's close associate, Peter Mandelson, as Britain's ambassador to Washington goes to the very heart of this Prime Minister's judgment. When he made that appointment, was he aware that Mandelson had continued his friendship even after Epstein's conviction for child prostitution?
Simple question.
Mr. Speaker, let me start where I must with the victims of Epstein. And all of our thoughts are with them. Can I also say our thoughts are with all those who lost jobs, savings and livelihoods in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crash. To learn that there was a cabinet minister leaking sensitive information at the height of the response to the 2008 crash is beyond infuriating. And I am as angry as the public and any member of this House. Mandelson.
Okay. So they said something about leaking information about the 2008 crash, and notice how they had Jeffrey Epstein out there. Now, this is the bullshit that's going on, y'all. This is the power play that's going on. You got Steve Bannon, the dude that basically was breaking the law anyway, right? He's out there to save Epstein's reputation. So in 2019, just before Epstein gets charged and taken into custody, right, by the feds, he goes out there and does an interview with Epstein to try to steer people, to away from what he's actually been doing, what they've been up to, And so then he starts talking about, he makes the allegation that it's Clinton's fault for the last crash that happened in the U.S. You see how they throw this out? So they have the magic wand. Clinton is the magic wand for the people that want to steal the country away. All they do is they point at the Clintons. And I'm not saying, I don't give a shit about Clinton. I mean, me, myself, I don't give a fuck about Clinton. What the fuck? What's he? He's nobody to me. He's just another, because elected officials to me are just individuals that you can find another one, right? What the hell? When one doesn't do right, get rid of him and find another. But that's not what Trump people do. And I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton because I'm not into dynasties. I'm not into nepotism. I'm not voting for anybody that has anything to do with this administration or the Epstein files whatsoever, period. Anybody that had anything to do with this circle, they're not getting my vote in 2026. They're not getting my vote in 2028, period. I'm not into dynasties. I'm not into Kabbalahs. I'm not into that. So having said that, they go out there to try to do the damage control, you see, and they're trying to use the magic wand. It's the Clintons. It's the Clintons. The Clintons are one couple out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. Everyone in Trump's cabinet was on Epstein Island and lied about it. Lied about why they were there. Basically, all of them. If they weren't on Epstein Island, they were a part of the DA in Florida that let Epstein go the first time around. Pam Bondi was a part of the DA then. So, people need to watch game. But here in the UK, they're discussing, these kind of shenanigans that went on and it puts people in danger. It put a lot of people in danger. Listen to this type of information and wheeling and dealing behind the closed scenes about things that are about the people's business. They're wheeling and dealing among people that are non-government officials. They're talking to them about it. They're sharing the information with non-government officials, with business people, with all of this stuff behind the scenes. That's not supposed to be happening at all. Period. That's called corruption on the highest level.
Betrayed our country, our parliament, and my party. Mr. Speaker, he lied repeatedly to my team when asked about his relationship with Epstein before and during his tenure as ambassador. I regret appointing him. If I knew then what I know now, he would never have been anywhere near government. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the Cabinet Secretary, with my support, took the decision to refer material to the police. And and there is now a criminal investigation. I've instructed my team to draft legislation to strip Mandelson of his title and wider legislation to remove disgraced peers. And this morning, I've agreed with His Majesty the King that Mandelson should be removed from the list of Privy Councillors on grounds that he's brought the reputation of the Privy Council into disrepute.
Right. So, I mean, they're talking about the reputation. It doesn't matter what the grounds are for removal. I mean, it does a little bit, but there could be other things that he did that are not bad, but whatever. They got to put whatever motion in place to deal with that. Right. So, yeah. So just to get his ass out of there. But, yeah. Listen, everybody in the chat, if you think somebody's a troll, let's keep it real. This is real conversation. We having real conversation. We want real people. We don't want chumps out there hiding in the corner like, I don't want you to know anything about me. I don't want you to know what state I'm in. I don't want you to know if I'm an American citizen. I don't want you to know if I'm a Norwegian citizen. I'm scared, but I got a lot to say. Nah, none of that bullshit. If you can't keep it real, if I can't even just know what state you live in, you know, what your situation is like, generally speaking, I ain't trying to hear all that bullshit from you and your opinions, because look, your state, how you're living right now qualifies your opinions. It qualifies your opinions. You can't have opinions that are totally against who you really are, but you're just saying them because you're on the net. You see what I'm saying? Like, and you will hear a lot of these people, I want this and that. And it's like all their political views are totally against the poor and the middle class people just like them, but they don't want you to know it. You see what I'm saying? So we got to qualify statements, you know, we got to find out, like, it's okay to have an opinion, but if you ain't a billionaire, why are you still capping for Trump? If you ain't a billionaire, if you ain't got 10 million in your account, why are you capping at this point, or a couple of million? Because $1 million ain't shit no more. You know what I'm saying? $1 million is nothing. People need help. Taxpayers their money shouldn't be spent on Epstein Island. Their fucking money should not be spent making rich people rich. What the fuck? Their money shouldn't be going in Elon Musk's pocket. It should be going to healthcare, education, childcare, elder care, transport systems so they can get to work cheap, affordably, and home affordably. Things like this that assist people in everyday life. That's where people that pay taxes, that's where they want their money going. And so when we let these trolls come out here and start acting like they, somebody else, that's really what they're doing. That's really what they're doing. They're pretending like the policies that you and I support are hurting them, when for real, our policies are helping them, but they just getting a little paycheck on the side promoting some other bullshit. That's called being a sellout, and these people maybe some of these trolls are enemies of the U.S. Maybe some of them are from troll farms outside of the U.S. And that's another concerning thing. We got to find out who we are. That's why we ask everybody questions, So, but in any case, I mean, let's see here. This is, who else? Epstein, and I think it was Epstein and is it Netherlands? Netherlands. There was another one. Somebody else in the Netherlands I said Netherlands, but it don't matter. Someone else. Let me just correct that. Is connected. So this Epstein thing went around, and people are. Let me see here. Yeah, people are correcting themselves. What is this? Let me see here. What is this right here? Yeah, here we go.
It's occupying many people, me included, and especially Americans.
Okay.
Millions of people.
No. Stop that. Can't play that, because that's not even a person that wants their real voice up on here. Let me see here. They must mention it. No, they don't mention it here. Let me go back. It's there's somewhere where there's some mention of the king of the Netherlands. Let me see. Or the royal family in the Netherlands. Let me see. Epstein. Oh, I see. I didn't write it correctly. Epstein, Netherlands. Is that it? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go over to ChatGPT real quick and open up a new chat. Let's see here. Not to get taken advantage of by rich people. Yeah. We got trolls out here acting like they rich. We got to call it what it is, If I wanted to go and cap for Donald J. Trump right now and Elon Musk, they would pay me. Like straight up, they would pay me some money, and they would pay me a lot more than they paying these goddamn trolls. I'm telling you, like seriously, they would pay me. The difference is that I have integrity. I would never do that. As an American, I would never. I'll give you an example of integrity. I would never come from the U.S., a place where we struggle to have fair housing, fair access to health care, fair access to education, and come to Denmark and want to tear all that down. I would be a hypocrite to do that. You see what I mean? The goal is to do good where you are. The goal is to do the globe some good, not tear things down and make things harder for people, you know? So let me see here. Let me see. Is there a story about is it the royal family of the Netherlands? Royal Netherlands and or the government, or a parliament member, or that's right, or a member connected to Epstein. Yeah, there's a lot of things happening right now. But the U.S., I just wanted to illustrate this to show that the U.S. is the only country right now that's not getting rid of people that had something to do with Epstein. Everybody else is getting rid. No, is it not the door? Okay. Here it is. It says there's no credible evidence that the Dutch royal family or any confirmed Dutch member of parliament has directly linked to Jeffrey Epstein in the way figures like Prince Andrew, right? Prince Andrew or some foreign politicians have been. But there are confirmed cases involving other European royals and politicians. Okay, the Netherlands. What we actually know, after searching reliable reporting and release Epstein files, there's no verified report. King Willem Alexander, Queen Maxima. Okay, that's good to hear. Or the Dutch royals, Dutch MP ministers were named as Epstein associates or contacts. Okay, major investigations and media summaries of the Epstein documents list many international figures, but none clearly tied to Dutch royalty. Well, the Denmark is one of them that's been mentioned. So we're going to go to that, but and then get on to the other, things with disinformation. This is not disinformation, but it's connected to the same network that's been promoting disinformation. Notice they didn't want to tell you everything they was doing on Epstein Island. They wanted to talk about, and when they do want to tell you, they willingly talk about Clinton and shit and Hillary Clinton drinking baby blood. But then they hid the rest of it. You know what I mean? So we need to find out the rest of it. More than 200 people appear Epstein-related documents, but mostly were mentioned only socially or indirectly. Okay, so European royals who are documented in the Epstein-related material. Prince Andrew from the UK, Crown Prince Mette Marit from Norway, admitted contact with Epstein and later expressed regret. Reports have also mentioned under European royals in emails or invitations such as Sweden's Prince Sophia and Denmark's King Frederick, though without allegations of crimes. Okay, so they mentioned to having some sort of contact with Epstein. Let me look into that. Let me know if any of y'all heard any of this also, let me see something. C. Douglas, what state do you live in and who's your healthcare provider? Let me know, simp. Okay, if I'm a simp with healthcare. Okay, so what about you? You got healthcare? What state do you live? What state do you live in, and who's your healthcare provider? Since you in the chat, I'm going to direct my comments to you now. You got my attention, and if you don't answer the question, then see you later. So you got about 10, 15. You got a minute, 2 minutes to let everybody in the chat know what state you live in. C. Douglas 9881. You got 5 minutes to let everybody know what state you live in and who your healthcare provider is. So let's go on. Let me see here. He probably worked for ICE and shit online and shit. Here we go. Now, let's see here. European politicians linked to Epstein, but not Dutch. Okay. Some confirmed cases involve other countries. For example, Slovakia's former foreign minister, right, Miroslav. This shit is going so fast. You can't remember all of these people. You got to take notes because there's a whole lot. Had extensive email contact with Epstein. Various French political figures were mentioned in correspondence and social contacts. Did you know Epstein was a resident of Russia. Did you know that? Did you know he had a residence card? He had residence permit in Russia. Did y'all know that? I don't know if they're showing that on U.S. news, but they are showing that in European news. I'm gonna bring it up just so y'all can see it too. They got his residency. Yeah, they got they have his residency permit. You know, yeah, they got a residency permit for Epstein. I mean, that's what they're reporting. That's what's been reported. So it appears that the U.S. news, take note of that has not been mentioned in the U.S. news. I don't know why, but let's see here. So we know that there was a lot of that Epstein had residence in France because he had a home in France, right? But we didn't know that he had a residence in Russia, right? Let me see here. Torbjorn Youngler. Did I say that right? Torbjorn Yaklin. I hope I'm saying that right. Yeah, the Albanian girl were great, but I'm not sure I can keep it going with young man. Yeah, this is terrible. These are horrible allegations, man. These are damning. I mean, the bottom line is you can't have anything to do. You have to be put, I'm sorry, but you have to be put aside out of any organization you're a part of, social or otherwise, that has influence in a country. Once they've established that you had some connection with Epstein, because you don't know what else is not known. You know what I mean? And let me see here. So let me just go over to this so people can see Epstein, so they can see his Russian, his goddamn Russian residence permit. This shit is crazy, man. This is crazy, but yeah, and again, I don't know why they didn't show it in the US, but it's out here. Hold on now, listen. I don't think I saw somebody tell us. I asked somebody a direct question. That was C. There we go. So C didn't answer. He didn't want to tell. Here, let me just go to his let me just show everybody who he is real quick too also before we get rid of his ass. I want to illustrate something about trolling online, right? And how bullshit it is. Can I do this? Here we go. How do I go to his channel? C Douglas? Oh, I think I just got to copy it like this and then put it here. I just want to illustrate something for people, and before I block them, right? So we could see who it is. C Douglas, right? Didn't want people knowing, right? Who, what healthcare provider he have, right? He doesn't want us qualifying his statements, right? So, yeah, and this is his actual page here. So let's see. Oops, what did it not link up? .com. Okay, is it at C Douglas? Let me go back. I know what I got to do. I got to put it up here in the search thing. Let me see. And then we're going to go to Epstein. Right. It says C. Yeah, let's go there. C and Douglas. I mean, he must. What is it? Why doesn't he go to it? For some reason, maybe somebody blocked him already. In any case, let's get him out of here. See you later, Scene. Have a good day. You didn't want anybody to know that you have health care or you're a real person. You don't want anyone to qualify your statements. You just internet, got his chest stuck out all over the internet. Doesn't like the conversation. So, and anyway, he got his 10 minutes of fame. So let's see here. And remember, if somebody writes anything in the chat that doesn't have anything to really do with the convo, just ask them what state do they live in and who their healthcare provider is. So we all get to know how they living. Let's all get an idea how they living. You see what I mean? Let's bring it down to real people talk, right? There's nothing wrong with having different opinions, but if you live in a state where most of the people can't afford healthcare, that says a lot about you. If you out here capping it for Trump, it says a whole lot about you. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay. I see you, I see you, Thorn. I've got to get some rest because of my. Okay. Yeah, you too, man. Thanks for coming through. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. No MAGA tolerance today, for real. All right, so let me see here. Let me go to the shorts again, so y'all can see Epstein's damn residence permit. It's crazy, man. Here it is right here, y'all. Here's Epstein's residency permit. Yeah, it's in the shorts. Is it playing? It's paused. There we go. There it is. It's reported in Danish news. You know, yeah, they have this. This is their actual thing. This is their shit. This is reported by the U.S. Department of Justice. I don't know why it's. Oh, you can't see it. Sorry. Let me take this off. I don't know why it's not all over the U.S. media. Is it? Tell me, y'all in the U.S. have they reported this yet? In the U.S., have you seen Epstein's residence permit? Let me know. There we go. Let's see. I'm just curious. I'm just curious if they've shown it in legacy media. I haven't seen it covered in legacy media either, and I'm just curious why that is. But this is covered in European media, right? And right now, what you're looking at is the Danish media. Now, let me see here. Let me do one thing. Let me pull this up for y'all real quick. Also, and this is one of the reasons why I'm here, because I want people in the U.S. to be able to see what's being reported in Europe, you know, because a lot of the things that are, you know, it doesn't always work both ways. I think Europeans get a lot of news about what's going on in the U.S. from, you know, but it's not the opposite way. A lot of Americans don't know anything about what is going on in Europe, what Europeans think, what's in the European news cycle. It's the exact opposite, you know. Very little information is being told the other way around. So let me see here. Let me see here. I also forgot. Let me type that out. Boom. Come on. Come on. Right. So let me see what they say about that. Yeah, but this is reported in Danish news. Yeah, actually, it's been circulating for the last 24 hours. And obviously, some of the things they find relevant about Epstein are things that relate back to Europe, obviously, right? So you hear a lot about the you know, royal families, different royal families, or different government members. There was also I think a person in NATO, and you know, one of the top leaders in NATO, or one of the representatives in NATO for Sweden, I think, that was removed. Don't quote me, something like that. If it wasn't Sweden, it was another country removed. So there's some things that people should be aware of now. Oh wow, what is this? It said that the search was stopped. Okay, damn, that's funny. Yeah. Yeah, well, this was reported in Danish news. It says Epstein mistaken for Ver Putin's spy, right? He's mistaken for being, or he's thought to be one of Putin's spies, right? And yeah, and so this is one of the questions that's raised. Now let me see here. Okay, they're saying it's speculation, right? Okay, using the investigators say Kremlin-linked bot network spread false claim disguised as Western media reports. Now, so this is what they're saying. They're saying that this is Russia reporting this, saying that it's false, that this is not in the Epstein files, or yeah. But okay, real reporting, Russian connections mentioned. Okay, European journalists reviewing newly released Epstein files found reference to Russian politicians and elites, including Vladimir Putin, but these are mentions in documents, not proof of formal ties like residency status. Investigation and speculation. Okay, so in other words, this is what they're saying. They're saying that Russia released this about Epstein. That's essentially what they're saying. And since all the Epstein files ain't released, nobody's going to have any way of knowing whether this is whether this is true, right? So in other words, if people are saying this was in the Epstein files, that can be quote unquote disinformation because it hasn't been released. Russia's saying that they have his residency permit. That's basically it. But here's the thing. Why is it so hard to believe that he would have residency in Russia? Why is that hard to believe? I mean, is it hard to get residency in Russia? It's just a residence permit. It just means you have a permit so you can walk around, you can do business in Russia, you can own a home in Russia. How did Trump own a home in Russia? How does Trump, have property anywhere else? To have property, don't you kind of have to have some kind of visa? And if you look at the top of this, right, I'm saying residency permit, but it says visa, which is essentially the same thing. This is the card, the Visa card. If you look at my residency card, it looks the same, right? It looks the same. This is what a European residency card looks like, no matter what country you're in. You see what I'm saying? So it says he got who said that? He got a passport for all countries. He had us banks in control. I mean, I don't see why it's so hard to believe he would have a Russian residency. To me, yeah, it could be disinformation, and I'll admit that because they're saying that Russia released this information, so they're saying it wasn't released. And here's the disinformation part: this was not released in the Epstein. This is not a part of the Epstein files release that has happened. So people that say it's part of the Epstein files release that happened, that's disinformation. Now, whether this is real or not, that remains to be unseen. But it says, but on the bottom, listen, this is what the Russians are claiming. They're claiming that this is part of the Epstein files. That's what they're claiming. And they're claiming that this is something that the U.S. Department of Justice has this photograph of his permit, or maybe even have his permit. That's what the Russians are claiming. So now that we got it straight, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, every day it keeps getting bigger. Yeah, I mean, listen, just so people know, I'm an average brother from Washington, D.C., born and raised in D.C., moved out of the U.S. when I was 30 years old. So I'm 55 now. So I've been living in the U.S. longer than I've lived outside. My family goes back both sides to the colonial period in the U.S. I'm just letting you know, I don't have any reason to lie about this dumb shit. I don't give a fuck. I'm just an average person. I have a job. I go to work. I have a decent job and I go to work, and I have a lot of extracurricular activities. I have my kids. They're beautiful. I'm happy for my life. But so I don't have any reason to push any type of thought about this. I'm just saying this is what was reported in the Danish news. That's all I'm saying. You see what I mean? So I guess they're saying that the Russians say that they have this in the DOJ. I guess that's what they're saying, and release this picture. So it kind of shows you how European news is a little different than American news. The U.S., look, if you're waiting for them to verify some shit in the U.S. out of the Epstein files, it might take a long time. It might take a long time. In Europe, they ain't taking a long time. It's like, it is what it is. They want they want people to see this and be like, is this real? This shit is crazy. I mean, I have no doubt that this is real. And if I am wrong, okay, I'll just admit it. But this is what's being reported. It doesn't matter. This is what's being reported. Yeah, this is a Russian fries. The Russians released this. They say the DOJ has this. This has been shown in European news cycle that the Russians are claiming this. The Russians are claiming that the American at the DOJ have Epstein's residency permit. That's what they're claiming. And they're saying they have this photograph. They're saying this photograph is from the Epstein files. I take it that it's from the files that haven't been released. You see what I'm saying? That's what it is. But who knows? Let's say that maybe it is a lie. Let's say Epstein didn't have a visa to Russia, that he didn't have permission to visit Russia and have a home or an apartment in Russia or a bank account. Let's say that's a whole lie, right? Would it be hard for him to get one though? I mean, wouldn't they just give him one if he asked? You know what I'm saying? It's not like he said, this ain't even a passport. This is just permission to have a bank account, have a residency permit. I mean, a residence to hang out there and have a nice time, basically. Yeah, where are the Russian bots when you need them? Where you at? Where they at? I think they hate my page now. I think they hated the page now. They don't want to give me any fucking views anymore, man. This is crazy. This is crazy. Usually they try to jam up my motherfucking site. You know, now they just said, fuck it, man. We giving this dude too many damn views, man. We got to lay off his ass. But you will see, they will be watching, man. They've done something though. I noticed it because the last couple of days my views went down like by, you know, maybe 50%. Somebody's doing something over here. I don't know what it is, but I don't care. What the hell? You know what I mean? You got to live and let live. I don't give a damn. But yeah, this is totally it. So look, at least you know this. You saw what's being reported in the EU news now, that the Russians say Epstein had a residency permit. Now, let's see here. Now, is there a date? Let's look at the date. What is the date? Look, he had this date. The year here, the year is 18. This is 18. No. This is whoa. Let me let me do something here. Let me make it bigger. Boom. You see these dates? These are the dates. Obviously, these will be the dates of the permit, right? But I'm just curious, which one is the... Oh, you know what I'm going to do? Wait a second. I'm going to go get mine, and I'm going to look at it. I'm going to let y'all know what it is. 2 seconds. I'm back now. So I got my residency permit. So I just want to take a look and make sure I got the numbers correlated right, because obviously this image is not so clear. I can't see the small print. So I just want to look on mine and see how the dates correspond. Right. This is now, for those that don't know, I don't know, is this the back or the front? This is a visa, so it's a little different than a residency permit, but it does give them permission to be there. I don't know. Usually when it's a card, it's an extended one. Like usually when it's a card, this means it's like for 10 years. You see what I mean? And the short ones are like stamps on your passport, but the long ones, they give you a card for, right? But let me see. All right. So look, so this is, you can see it right here. I got it now. So this was given, it's good for this amount of years. Look, the date that it was given on is 2018, right? So this is a year before he was arrested, right? let me check out the date. 2 seconds. Let me just make sure I got the date correct about this. What is the date Epstein was arrested? Yeah, gotta make sure about these things, right? So this will tell us a lot about whether it's real and how accurate this is. This is his birth date. Let's see if his birth date is corresponding also. That will also help. Well, what is taking so long? You know what? I'm going to have to change over because I could see ChatGPT all of a sudden is not trying to let me. It's not trying to Google shit on Epstein, yo. It's very slow. Okay, so listen. This falls within the lines because Epstein wasn't arrested until July 6, 2019, y'all. This says that his residency permit was issued in the six month. That's July. Let me see, January. June 25th, 2018 is when it was issued, and it's good for from June 25th, 2018 to June 24th, 2021. So that's a 3-year visa. That's what this claims to be. That's what they're claiming this is, a 3-year visa. So yeah, so let me go back to the chat and see what y'all talking about here. Right. Did y'all get that? You understand what I'm saying? Right. He had 3-year visa. There you go. Exactly. Running to yeah, from June to that. Exactly. 21 didn't. That's what it says here. It says he did. All right. He had a 3-year visa from June. Yeah, that's what it says. That's what it says. You got it right. That's what I got out of it. Right. Yeah, that's what I got out of it. And now whether this is, the Russians say that the State Department has this, and the Russians say that let me turn this down a little. And the Russians say that no. Oh, you said nobody gets 3 years. I don't know. Let's check that out. He couldn't use his visa very long. Who knows? Let me check it out. Can a Russian visa be for 3 years? I'm not sure, but whatever it comes up with, there have to be examples of it. That it doesn't just draw back any old information. They have to find conversations online, information, validation that they've seen other 3-year visas. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like this. So you never know. Maybe it isn't. But to me, it sounds like if you're going to go through all this length to make something fake, that would be one of the things you would probably have covered. You see what I mean? Like, his birth date would be covered, when he gets it issued, the time, to me, it seems like they would cover that. But who knows? Maybe it comes back. Now you can't always trust everything ChatGPT says. Now you got to double check and triple check sometimes, because I've noticed when I've used it, it may be lacking some information. Like I've had to say, yeah, but no, actually, no, this part, they have done this, and here's the, it was discovered here, and then it will review it and say, oh yeah, actually, it will correct itself, But I noticed one thing for sure: it's taking a long time to check my request, and it usually does not. That doesn't make sense. Like usually when I'm searching on ChatGPT, it's responding. You know what I'm gonna have to do? I'm gonna have to ask that question on my phone. That's pretty weird. I don't know why it's doing that. All right, hold on 2 seconds. Let me check something real quick. Yeah, so it's not pulling up anything from ChatGPT. So let me Let me go over to the next one. Let me see here, Gemini instead, because that's kind of funny. I think Gemini, yeah. Let me pull this up and ask the same question. I don't know why it's doing that all of a sudden. That's really weird, but it is what it is. I mean, it will. I guess, yeah. Who knows why it's not giving me an answer? It hasn't responded at all. It hasn't responded at all. I don't know why that is. Okay. Does the Russian nation give 3-year visas? Let's see here. Yes. Okay. So it does issue 3-year. Let me pull this up for everybody, just so you guys don't think I mean, I know my real listeners know I'm not bullshitting, but it's just to allow everybody else who's not always here listening to me see the information themselves. It says it here. This is through Gemini, right? And it says, let me take this off of my screen too, by the way. Boom. Here we go. Now it says that, yes, Russia does issue 3-year multiple entry visas, but eligibility largely depends on your citizenship and specific purpose of your visit. As of 2026, here are primary ways to obtain 3-year visa. For U.S. citizens, and we don't know what passport Epstein used to get his visa in Russia. We don't know what citizenship he used, but he's an American citizen, so I'm presuming he used that, right? For U.S. citizens, reciprocity agreement. Under a long-standing bilateral agreement, U.S. citizens are generally eligible for 3-year multiple entry visas for the following purpose: tourism, business, humanitarian, culture, religious, sports exchange, private, visiting friends or family. So you can do business with that visa. Key condition: you can stay in Russia for up to 6 months at a time per visit, with no limit on the number of entries during the 3-year period, right? Everybody can see that for themselves. High qualified specialist HQS work visas for professionals with high demand skills such as ET engineering or senior management who have secured a job offer with a high salary threshold, validity up to 3 years. Benefit: these visas can be renewed. Okay, temporary resident. Okay, so, but that says visa. So, it is what it is. It's a visa. Yeah, and this is what they claim. Jeffrey Epstein. This is what the Russians are claiming Jeffrey Epstein had. They say that the DOJ has it, right? They're saying that the DOJ has this in their own files and was aware of this. Now, there's another element to this. What does it really mean? What does it really mean, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so what? He had a visa. What does that mean? Does he need a visa to be involved in espionage? No. Does he need to live in Russia to be involved in espionage and giving the Russians information? No. That's very clear. So I don't know. To me, it sounds like this is real. To me, it sounds like he has this. It's in their files. They don't want to show it to the American people for whatever reason. And it also sounds like it doesn't change the narrative. Like, whether the dude had a visa or not, it clearly appears as if there's something going on with some Russian mob with Trump and some Russian government with Trump. It clearly appears that way. You know what I'm saying? whether he had a damn visa or not, it appears that way. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy, man. It's a 6-month visa, good for 3 years. Yeah, I think it's like that. That's what it says, dang. Yeah, something like that, right? Isn't that what they said? Let me see here. It's actually quite nice here, but it has its problems. Nothing like America, but it's a great place to live. Oh, you talking about Russia? Where you at? Running to Christ? Where you live? Sorry about that. I missed that. I missed some of the chat, but in any case, today you're damn right. We're gonna have now. Now this is going back to disinformation. right? And who this is so embarrassing, and to the people that spread a lot of it, right? People that spread a lot of disinformation. Steve Bannon was one of the proponents of Trump. Now, if you notice, they released the other day, they got this Epstein files thing released, right? I mean, not Epstein interview released. That was also done, by the way, just before Epstein was locked up. Now, see how that kind of correlates? He got his visa, if you want to believe that, right? I pretty much believe it, because what's so hard about it? Why would they not want Epstein to travel and have a visa? Come on, man. Come on, the dude's rich. Why would they say no? He's not hurting them. Why would they say no? And they would probably follow his ass around and have people all over him, making sure they know what he's doing. But in any case, they probably have economic ties too, that are exposed, that will be exposed in the Epstein files later. Obviously, you see, they don't want to release the bank information, because that would be very telling. So they've had a long time holding back on the bank information, but Congress has been complaining about that. But in any case, this is Steve Bannon, and he's one of the big promoters of disinformation. He's been doing that the whole time. He had this idea that Hillary Clinton is drinking baby blood on Epstein Island. I mean, he's one of the people that's really caught up on the Clinton and Epstein. Well, before, just to show you how this works, before Epstein was arrested, he did this videotape. He did this interview with Epstein, and everybody sees it. The video was conducted in France, right? And now he releases it. So how many years is this now? So you could see that this is timed. It was timed to do this. The interview that he did was on purpose. And if you watched any of it, I watched some of it, and I just stopped it because I was like, what is this about? Like, there's nothing real in it. No one wants to, it's almost like you could guess what he was saying. He said that Bill Clinton was responsible for the economic crash, right? Okay, so what if he was? What if he was, right? You're still talking to the most prolific sex trafficker in the United States history that's alleged to have killed kids, to know about children being killed. That's who's doing this talking. And then he bothers to ask Epstein, are you the devil, or are you just as bad as Satan, the devil? He's giving him a chance to try to humanize himself by answering that question, for him to explain what people are confused about. So he tries to give legitimacy to Epstein. And this is the guy who's doing it. Now listen carefully to what he says. The guy who's trying to give legitimacy to Epstein, who interviewed him in 2019 and sat on the interview on purpose until now. What is it? Why did he do that? Is it the elections coming? You see, he's got to point some fingers at the Democrats, I guess. But this is what he has the nerve to be saying.
Of ICE surround the polls come November. We're not going to sit here and allow you to steal the country again. And you can whine and cry and throw your toys out of the pram all you want, but we will never again allow an election to be stolen. You're damn right. We're going to have ICE surround the polls come November. We're not going to sit here and allow you to steal the country again. And you can whine and cry and throw your toys out of the pram all you want, but we will never again allow an election to be stolen. You're damn right. We're going to have ICE surround the polls come November. We're not going to sit here and allow you to steal the country again. And you can whine and cry and throw your toys out of the pram all you want, but we will never again allow an election to be stolen. You're
right. So there's the disinformation right there. He's claiming that the election was stolen, right? Number one, which is a lie, right? Which Trump, by the way, if you ask Trump, every election has been stolen that he's ever participated in. Even when he wins, it's been stolen. Even when he wins, he claims it's being rigged from the beginning every time he runs. So this is their big disinformation thing. So they're going to make a big hit on this election. They don't want it to be free and fair. They know the American people are pissed off. And you got a guy who sat down and interviewed the most prolific sex trafficker on earth, you know what I'm saying, or in the United States. No problem. He had no problem sitting down with this man. No problem sitting down with this man to humanize him. He got no problem sitting down and working and campaigning for Trump, right? What's his relationship with Epstein? You know, this guy. Like, at no point has Steve Bannon said anything about the victims. You see what I mean? Like, all of these people are just meaningless. These are everyday people. Oh, okay, running to Christ. You live in Russia. Okay, well, I hope things are well there, you know. but things aren't well in the U.S. You know, things aren't well in the U.S. I know how things are in Russia. It's hard. It's a rough life per se, but I'll let you speak to that. But in any case, check this out. What's going on with this dude is, and Trump is, none of them, what they have in common is none of them have any care for the average person whatsoever. If you're a person in hard times, he won't lift a finger. You know, he doesn't care about the First Amendment, doesn't care about the Second Amendment. And these guys all ran on this same theme. It's a disinformation bubble, right? So they start off caring about 1776, you know, the founding fathers, all of this shit that they run on people, right? This whole game, because they want you to believe that they have some sort of connection to that, and that therefore they have the right to do anything they want because they had that connection, even violate the Bill of Rights. You know, that's kind of what they're trying to present to people, right? But in reality, they're just a bunch of billionaires trying to overthrow the government, trying to get rid of the Bill of Rights. You know what I mean? And they've been in cahoots the whole time with Putin. They've been in cahoots with Elon Musk. Elon Musk has 3 different passports. How many passports does the average American citizen have? You know, half of the U.S. population has never left, even been outside of the U.S. Half. You see what I'm saying? But let alone had a passport to another country. You see what I'm saying? So these people are claiming to be more American than the average American. You see what I mean? And they go against it in policy. When the average American needs a decent wage, they go against it. When was the last time that the federal minimum wage has been raised? It hasn't been since the 90s, right? But in every Democrat state, the minimum wage has been raised tremendously since, you know, above $7. But if you look at red states where they've had Republican control, man, it's like $7, man. People getting paid $7, $8. You know what I mean? How can you live in the richest country on earth getting paid that? You know, so there's a level of a huge level of hypocrisy with everything they say. They claim to be for the average American, but they're totally for the oligarchs. You know, this is like a sellout move. You know, this is they walked in this whole, they're conspiring against you, the liberal left, the billionaire, the secret cabal. And then all of a sudden, when the cabal explodes on their ass, the Epstein files, they all up in it. It's them. You know what I'm saying? This dude, this is what they all did. It's crazy. It is crazy, you know, pretending that they are the people fighting against the unjust government. But the truth is, it's them trying to overthrow the government and make it even more unjust, you know, or unjust, right? So it's just insane. More than half. You say more than half? Yeah. Anyway, let me ask you something. Keon Chase, what state do you live in and who's your healthcare provider? Keon, if you don't mind telling us, we want to have some real talk here. Don't worry. Let me see here. Let me just check something out. I mean, you can't even get the passport services, may not even be open right now in the U.S. Let's see here. Yeah, you know, it's always like this. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's check it out. Oh, wait a second. I can see. Is this one not working? Let me go over to this one then. Let's see here. It's 350 U.S. citizens. So let's see how many have a passport. According to Gemini. Here we go. Approximately 48 to 53. So we both right. You said more. I said less. Right. So, yeah. So it's 48 to 53. That's what it says. So let's just agree half. Okay. let's just agree that half have a passport, right? Now, how many of them have more than let's ask the next question. How many Americans have 2 different citizenships? Right? Citizens. Let's ask that one. Right? Let's see here. Because as far as I'm concerned, the average American doesn't have 2 citizenships. Here we go. Look at this, 40 and 50%. 40. This is actually necessary to see. 40 to 50% hold at least 2 citizenships. Naturalized citizens, birthright citizens. Okay, 26 million naturalized U.S. citizens living in the country. Oh, it's not 40 to 50%. It's millions. I'm sorry, that's incorrect. So there's a difference there. So 40 to 50 million. So that's what percentage of that of the total population? Right. So that would be like what? 6 let's see what percent. Right. 7%, right? 7 to 15% of the total population has dual citizenship in the United States of America, right? So so that's not so high. That's just, I wouldn't consider that so high. But in any case, I'm curious, does Steve Bannon have another? I'm curious about that. I'm about to ask right now, man. What the hell is up with this? Because you never know. You never really know. Peter Thiel has 3 citizenships. Does Steve Bannon let's see here. I'm just curious about this. Not to get off track, but I just want to know. Yeah, okay, he doesn't have any verified info. There's no verified information of him having more than 1 citizenship. Okay, that's good. But Elon Musk and Peter Thiel definitely have more than 1 citizenship, and they get a big amount of taxpayer dollars, for their private corporations, and they're able to spy on the average American, and I don't understand why Americans are not seeing that as a danger, overall. Right. Palantir is Peter Thiel, and Elon Musk, right? Is Elon Musk. That's Grock. You know what I'm saying? That's SpaceX, right? That's Twitter, right? Yeah. So it just makes me wonder why that's not more of an issue for American citizens. I mean, they want to put Grock. Talk about disinformation. I mean, the same guy that owns Grock. Let me see here. Look at this. France is suing Elon Musk, right? Is France? No, let me see. Not suing. They got criminal charges. Let me see. Has France police? Let me see here. Police raided Elon Musk business in France? I believe they did. They raided his offices in France. Let me see. Talking about disinformation, So let me let this rock out a little bit. It says, yeah, it just happened on February 3rd, 2026. French police and investigators from Paris Prosecutor Cybercrime Unit raided the Paris offices of X, which, here, I'll let it play. Let me see here. Let's see what it says.
Yes, this just happened. On February 3rd, 2026, French police and investigators from the Paris Prosecutor's Cybercrime Unit raided the Paris offices of X, formerly Twitter, which is owned by Elon Musk. The raid is part of a significant escalation in a year-long criminal investigation that began in January 2025. Key details of the raid. The allegations. The investigation covers a wide range of serious charges, including complicity in child sexual abuse material, distribution and possession of pornographic images of minors, sexual deepfakes, the creation and spread of non-consensual sexually explicit deepfakes, primarily through X's AI chatbot, Grock. Holocaust denial. Under French law, denying crimes against humanity is a crime. Investigators are looking into reports that Grock generated content questioning the use of gas chambers at Auschwitz. Algorithm manipulation. Allegations that the platform's recommendation engine was used for foreign interference or to distort democratic debate. The summons. Following the raid, French authorities officially summoned Elon Musk and the platform's former CEO, Linda Yaccarino, for voluntary interviews scheduled for April 20, 2026, in Paris. Europol involvement. The operation was supported by Europol, indicating the investigation has a broader European scope. Responses to the raid. The reaction from Elon Musk and his allies has been swift and combative. Elon Musk labeled the raid a political attack in a post on X, suggesting that French authorities should focus on actual street crime instead. X, the company, released a statement calling the raid law enforcement theater, designed to achieve political objectives rather than justice. Pavel Durov, the founder of Telegram, who was himself detained in France in 2024, criticized the move, claiming France is the only country criminally persecuting social networks that offer freedom of speech. What happens next? The Paris prosecutor's office has announced it is permanently leaving the X platform, moving its official communications to LinkedIn and Instagram. The focus now shifts to the April hearings, where Musk and Yaccarino are expected to be questioned. Would you like me to look into the specific French laws, like the Digital Services Act, that are being used to justify these investigations?
Now, let me see. Yeah, I want to do that. Let me see. But at the same time, people should be aware. Elon Musk is actually interfering in elections in the UK. Let me point that out too. Let me see. What criticisms have been made regarding Elon Musk? Let me see. Using disinformation to threaten elections in Europe, right? This is now it's a typical thing that they've all claimed that it's under freedom of speech. It's under freedom of speech. It's under freedom of speech. It doesn't matter if it's not true. It doesn't matter what the outcomes are. You have the right to say what you want to say, no matter if it's a lie and it's undermining your democracy, right? If it undermines your elections, if it does. Now you could see they claim to want to use power. Trump, if you listen to Trump, right, and they're tied at the hip, Elon Musk and Trump, and they have two total different opposite theories. On one hand, when it benefits them, they will say that other people are trying to stop them, right? From I'll give an example. We have elections coming up, and what is Trump doing? He's surrounding it with federal agents, even though the law says the states operate elections on their own. Period. He's talking about it. You heard what's the guy's name again? Steve Bannon say that they're going to send agents down there. He's advocating that they send agents to basically monitor elections, right? But at the same time, they want to be able to say, Steve Bannon in the same sentence says that, he lost the election, that Biden lost the election, Trump, that they rigged the elections. They're going to rig it again. They keep saying that, but they have no evidence. You see what I'm saying? So they want to have it both ways as long as it works for them, And so they're claiming freedom of speech, but they actually are going to come next. Look at what they're doing. They're stopping freedom of speech, the First Amendment in the U.S. They don't want protesters to have freedom of speech. And this is the problem. So they're claiming two sides of the coin, whichever way it fits for them. On one hand, if they do these things to undermine truth, use media to undermine society through disinformation, they're claiming you can't stop disinformation, you're stopping free speech. But on the other hand, if you demonstrate against them, they're not for it. They want to pull out the batons and the guns and beat you into the ground. They want to stop your right to vote. They want to make it harder for people to vote in elections where there's basically been no fraud at all. They just want voter records, voter roll records. They want to know if you voted against Trump. They want to know what your name is, what your address is, where you live, what party you belong to. That's literally what they're asking for at the same time. that they're claiming you can't stop disinformation because you're stopping freedom of speech. I mean, this is what they're literally saying. So look, this is some of the criticisms that the EU has about Elon Musk and has had over some time now. Is it there? Here we go.
As of early 2026, criticism from European leaders and regulators toward Elon Musk has shifted from general concerns about misinformation to formal legal accusations of electoral interference and digital destabilization. The primary criticisms focus on the idea that Musk is not just a passive platform owner, but an active participant using X's algorithms to favor specific political outcomes in Europe. 1. Allegations of algorithm manipulation. The most serious legal criticism comes from French authorities following the February 2026 raid on X's Paris offices. Targeted bias. French lawmaker Eric Bothorel and the Paris prosecutor's cybercrime unit have alleged that X's recommendation algorithms were manually or intentionally adjusted to reduce the diversity of political voices and amplify far-right narratives. Criminal gang accusations. In a striking escalation, French investigators are looking into whether data systems were manipulated as part of a criminal gang to distort democratic debate during recent election cycles. 2. Support for far-right movements. European leaders in Germany, France, and the UK have criticized Musk for using his personal account, the largest on the platform, to provide unsolicited interventions in national politics. Germany. He was heavily criticized by German officials for vocally backing the Alternative for Germany, AfD, party, which is under domestic intelligence surveillance for extremism. Spain. In early 2026, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez labeled Musk a tyrant and traitor after Musk retweeted content describing Spanish migration policies as electoral engineering. United Kingdom. Following the 2024 UK riots, British officials accused Musk.
Now, I just want to pause it for a second. You see, Elon Musk, he promoted himself as a liberal to get into the government and inside of the U.S. to get contracts and these kind of things. He used asymmetric warfare, basically, by first claiming to be liberal, hands off, nothing. I just want to improve and grow society, right? Then once he gets in, then he totally flipped the script, and now he's extreme far right. Essentially, that's what he's become. So for those of you that know what asymmetric politics is, asymmetric warfare is, right? You might start taking a look. Want to take a look at that in terms of some politicians too. Right now, when we talk about politics, how people can flip if necessary. You see what I mean? And it does at times, but this has got to be the biggest example of asymmetric warfare is Elon Musk, like how he gained the support from liberals with the Green Initiative. And then everyone that supported that initiative, he's totally going against now. You see what I mean? Like totally trying to decimate them now. And so it's like he did it for his own benefit. He's for green energy, but really he's for being an energy monopoly himself. He's for clean, diverse. He's for L cars and all of this stuff, but really it's just for himself. He doesn't want anyone else, so they want to control the monopoly. He wants to be inside of the state. He wants everything now. And since governments haven't been giving him everything, he's trashing them openly. You see what I mean? And he's not for the far right, but he sees the far right as the same type of vehicle to get him what he wants. The same vehicle that the left was. He's doing asymmetric politics. He now sees that he can't benefit anymore. So he's going to the only place he can benefit, and that is the far right. And so he's looking for that to extend his, to extend his power that way. He's not for sovereignty. So the far right that's worried about sovereignty, they claim they're claiming about being replaced. These kind of general ideas. Elon Musk doesn't give a fuck about any of that. He's going to play you. He's going to get you to back him so he can own your fucking country, and then you won't even have a country anymore after Elon Musk owns it. You see what I mean? You won't have jobs anymore because he's going to replace all the industry with robots. You see what I mean? You won't have free and fair competition in your capitalist markets because he wants a monopoly on them. That's exactly what he's doing in the U.S. You saw how they suppressed the green energy initiative. Why do you think they're suppressing it? Do you really think they're suppressing it because he's against it? Or do you think they're suppressing it because he doesn't want competition? He wants to own it all. He wants to be another baron of energy. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, far right people, they're not so different from anybody else in their societies. They should want fair, equal wages. They should want housing, fair housing. They should want fair health care. They should want fair access to education. Those are things everybody should want. But Elon Musk is going to try to play you on it, and he's already done it in the UK. But let's listen on.
Of stoking civil unrest by claiming civil war is inevitable and amplifying unverified reports about the perpetrators. 3. Weapons-grade disinformation via AI, Grock. The European Union has opened a formal probe into Grock, Musk's AI chatbot, for its role in election integrity, Holocaust denial. Critics and regulators are outraged by reports that Grock generated content denying the Holocaust and questioning the historical reality of gas chambers. Sexual deepfakes. EU regulators have hit X with investigations for allowing Grock to generate millions of non-consensual, sexualized deepfakes of...
And do you think this is a coincidence? Do you think this is a coincidence? At the same time, they're all being outed for pedophilia, all being outed for even worse crimes again, not just pedophilia, but even they're alleged to have been killing children, to have been killing young people, sex trafficking them to others, but also alleged to be involved in murder, right? Do you think it's a coincidence that Grock would just reproduce this stuff? You see what I mean? What's the agenda behind it? Is it to soften it? Is it to try to make it seem like, hey, these crimes are not that bad? Why are you paying attention to it? It's just something that's always existed, and you're just focusing on us right now for political reasons. It's not a big deal. Child porn. For people that don't know, Elon Musk and Trump, they have been accused of producing child porn. It's not just that they're being blackmailed or using this for blackmail or using it for espionage. They're being accused of producing the videos and selling them, distributing them. You see what I mean? On the dark web. Like, seriously, not just the dark web. You see what I'm saying? Like, seriously, they have been accused of this. One of the guys that accused them is that came out and accused them, and they have many accusers, by the way, is Sasha Riley. If you ever heard the Sasha Riley tapes, the audio tapes that were just released 2 weeks ago, right? He's been saying this on the internet for a year that he was a victim himself, but he's been interviewed and those tapes are out. He's saying that they were doing that back in the 80s. He's claiming that. And he said that Elon Musk was not the mastermind. He wasn't the one on top. He was the subordinate to Trump and 4 other billionaires. That's what Sasha Riley claims. And he gives some detailed accounts of 4 years that he says he was sex trafficked by his adopted parents to these people. Seriously, his name is Sasha Riley. I'm going to put it in the chat. You just got to go listen to it yourself. And if you haven't heard it yourself, you're not interested in the Epstein files. You're not interested in child trafficking. You're not interested in anything about Trump and crime. You're not interested in anything about Elon Musk and crime because the man is directly accusing them of these things. So I would just say he's a veteran too. It's a veteran that's saying these things. So just pay attention.
Public figures, which critics argue is a form of digital terrorism used to silence female politicians and activists. 4. Violation of the Digital Services Act, DSA. The European Commission has been Musk's most consistent critic regarding structural failures. Highest disinformation rate. EU Commissioner Vera Jourova famously stated that X has the highest ratio of disinformation posts of any major platform. Fines. In December 2025, the EU issued a $140 million fine against X for breaching online content rules.
Vic Morrison, what state do you live in and who is your healthcare provider?
Democracy Shield. In late 2025, the EU launched the European Democracy Shield, a new regulatory framework specifically designed to counter the information manipulation they associate with Musk's management style. Summary of the conflict. Critic. Core grievance. French prosecutors. Criminal manipulation of data to interfere in French politics. EU Commission. Systemic failure to comply with the Digital Services Act, DSA. Spanish, German ghosts. Direct meddling in national sovereignty and support for extremist parties. UK regulators. Use of AI to generate harmful, illegal deepfakes and fake news. Would you like?
So there you have it. So, Elon Musk, Trump, Epstein, they're all, Steve Bannon, all of them are connected at the hip. They're all part of a disinformation, group that started a long time ago that had their sights on the United States, on hitting the United States up. They saw the United States as having weak regulatory laws, right? Right. They looked at the United States and analyzed it and saw that they had weak regulations set in place. And so they devised a way. This is what I believe. They devised a way to approach it. We're talking about very powerful people sitting back, part of a pedophile, sex trafficking, espionage, blackmail group, essentially with their targets on the United States government, how to infiltrate it, how to take it over, right? And they have the money, and you just have to have a little bit of an imagination to understand it. The people involved own networks. They're not sitting out here trying to pass out flyers. They're saying, let's buy the newspaper. Yeah, I'll buy this newspaper. I'll buy that one. You can buy the other newspaper, and we will all push the same lies, right? And those lies will be, about why don't we have enough money for the poor? Because of the illegals. Why don't we have enough money for education? Because of the illegals. Why don't we have enough money for healthcare? Because of the illegals. Why don't we have enough money for anything? Why can't you get a fair wage, a fair job? Because of the illegals. It will be that's what they're all pushing. They've been pushing that in the United States, Europe. Do you see how well that's worked out for Americans? GDP down. The GDP is down since Trump got in office with this type of, approach. This is exactly what they did. Let me see here. Let me pull this one up. Is it over here? Look, USA is a GDP the last 20 years. It's very simple because people need to understand how the policies affect what's really happening in their lives, right? So let's say, because you could see them. You could see what it looks like when you have these kind of policies in effect. Look, this is the GDP. This is 2014, right? This is where it was in 2014. You can check every single year. Every single year. Let me move it up a little bit. So let's go to here. Right? This is 2021. This was Trump. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is Trump right here. Trump came into power 2017, 18, 19, 20. This is the Trump years right there. These ones in the middle that ain't doing shit are the Trump years. This is what it is. Now, how high did the GDP rise? Now, as soon as Biden comes in office, it jumps. It jumps. It jumps. It jumps. There was nothing but $1 trillion plus GDP every single year. Now we in Trump year again, and you see, it's giving up. There's not a jump anymore. It's giving up. This is 2025 right here. This is Trump's last year. His first year it didn't do anything to GDP, and he's trying to blame that on immigrants. What happened? We had all the immigrants here too. We had the immigrants when it jumped $1 trillion here. This is more than $1 trillion jump. This is $2 trillion jump, $2.3 trillion jump. Right? Boom. Another $1 trillion jump. Boom. Another $1 trillion jump. Boom. Another $1 trillion jump. All of that with immigrant problems. All of it with immigrant problems. Now we getting rid of the immigrant problems, and the GDP is starting to lax up. You got higher unemployment. You got skyrocketing inflation. It's sure there was inflation when Biden and Harris were in office, but it is nothing like the inflation you're feeling now. The job layoffs are nothing like the job layoffs you had anywhere close. In fact, they didn't have job layoffs under Biden and Harris. Come on. And so this is the scam they're trying to run on Europe and Europeans. You just really have to understand something. You really got to understand something. There might be issues with immigration, but how you handle them speaks volume to what the outcome will be. How you handle them. Do you handle them like this dude is talking? Do you want to harass average European citizens? Do you want to harass hardworking people that contribute to the society that pay taxes? Do you want to harass citizens? This is what he's proposing. This is what they've been proposing. This is why you see the disaster in the U.S.
We're going to have ICE surround the polls come November. We're not going to sit here and allow you to steal the country again. And you can whine and cry and throw your toys out of the pram all you want, but we will never again allow an election to be stolen. You're damn right. We're going to have ICE surround the polls come November. We're not going to sit here and allow you to steal the country again. And you can whine and cry and throw your toys out of the pram all you want, but we will never again allow an election to be stolen.
So you see, so this is how bad it is in the U.S. Now they have to claim that elections are being stolen. They're just throwing everything at it. Yo, Alex, we catch up with you. Appreciate you. Yeah, this is what the game plan is, Yeah, that's what he's talking about. Sending out, but this has always been their plan. See, first the elections are fake, So every election Trump won was fake. Every election Trump won, there was fraud. He claims it every time he had an election is coming. There's not one time Trump ran for anything that he didn't call fake, even when he won it. It was fake when he won it. He starts off saying it's rigged. That's what he starts off saying. So here's the game. They play both sides of the fence. They claim that from the beginning, because they know they're not that popular, that it's rigged. So when they lose, they can say, see, we told you it was rigged. But at the same time, they're spreading disinformation online. They're trying to get people's suppress votes. At the same time, they're actively the ones suppressing the votes when they say that it's rigged. And this is the game. This is the game they want to bring to the EU. And look, the EU's economy is going up. You got 450 million people. The US has 350 million, right? This is the US economy stalling. This is what it did. It stalled soon as Trump came into office, and it's going to go into recession. Recession means it's going to be under this mark this year. At the beginning of 2027, it's going to be reported to be under, the GDP is going to be reported to be under $29.5 trillion. That's what it's going to be reported as. Under this, it will be officially recession. There is no recession in the Biden years whatsoever. Look, there was a recession right here while Trump was in office in 2020. But of course, he could say it was COVID. But how well did he handle COVID? The man sat back and just was like, "Hey, man, COVID is nothing, man. Is it a disease? Can we make a what is it called? I'm sorry. Can it be inoculated? Can we get inoculations going around to stop it from spreading? What do we do? Or do we drink bleach? Who knows? They say in Africa you could drink bleach. I don't know. This is really, America is the testing ground. Yeah, the United States. I don't think the United States was the testing ground, the first testing ground, but basically it's the model for the Western testing ground. Yeah, it's the model for the West, and if to attack the West, and as you see, they had no problem working together with Putin, an enemy of the West. So these people are not, they don't have democracy in mind. They don't have freedom in mind, right? They don't have anything about your society in mind, because you can't have a society when the multitude of people are being suppressed. And this is what they want. They don't want they don't want any of that, man. These people, anytime you have people that, they're operating with a different playbook. You could say that. That's the easiest thing you could say. They're operating with a different playbook. You may not, I don't even want to imagine what playbook it is, but it's an ugly, ugly playbook. It's not about democracy. It has nothing to do with freedom when you go to work, you having a decent paying job. It has nothing to do with you having the right when you work all year to have some time off from work, a vacation once in a while. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with childcare. You know, it has nothing to do with rewarding those that work. Nothing to do with that. You see what I mean? Nothing to do with that. In Europe, you get rewarded for when you work. That's what you're doing. I mean, there's welfare for people that don't also, but you're not, you know, that welfare system is designed to get you in the working market pretty much, but you're rewarded in Europe when you work. In the US, you're not rewarded when you work it, you know? That's the problem. When you go to work in the US, you may not even earn enough to pay your bills at a full-time job. What is that? What is that? You know, so it doesn't make any sense. Now, let me see. Anybody want to hop up? Feel free to hop up right now, and then I'm gonna call it a day. I'll be back tomorrow at the same time. Let me see here. Let me go over to I'm gonna flip back here. Let me go over to the let me see my little Facebook thing and see who wrote me real quick. And then I'm gonna be out. If somebody wants to hop up, let me know. Let me open up my WhatsApp real quick on the desktop. I think that's gonna work better for the sound this time. I figured out what happened last time. Usually when I cut on it on, it tries to flip over to the other audio because I'm using WhatsApp, but I can flip it back now. I figured out how to do that. So let me see here. I got a message from Tay. Hold on, Tay. Anybody else want to hop up? You have to write to Facebook. Oh, I got a message on Facebook too. Let me see. 2 seconds, y'all. Yeah, so if you want to hop up, you need to go to facebook.com/VMedia, just like it's spelled here, VMEEDIA, and leave a message in Messenger. Let me leave your number and let me know your handle on YouTube so I know who you are. I can see who you are before I let you know how to link up with me. Okay, now let me go. I can see there's no messages there, so let me go over and see. Let me just check my WhatsApp real quick and see who's on here. 2 seconds. Okay. I see your message there, T. Hold on. Let me open it up. Try to call right now if you can. Hopefully it triggers the WhatsApp for me. Yeah, go ahead and call, Tay, if you can. While she's calling, let me just go over here and hop through the legacy media news real quick and see who's there. Oh, okay, I see you. You're going to open your app? Yeah. Now let me, okay. Now, is it opening? You there? Tay, can you hear me? Oh, it's connecting. I see it's taking a second to connect to her. You there?
Hello?
Tay? Yeah, what's up? Everybody, how's the audio?
Hello.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Let me just make sure. Everybody, is the audio good? Let me just double check this audio real quick. Yeah. It's good. I can see. Go ahead. Let me know what's going on.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. It's good. Turn your audio down in the background.
Wait a minute, because I think it's delayed. Wait.
I can hear you good, but background. You got to turn your TV down. Oh, I could hear her. It was sound issues? Okay, let me bring it over to my mobile then real quick. That might change. I could hear her fine. Let me try it one more time. Can you hear me? Tay, can you hear me? Can you hear me? She can't hear me. I see what it is.
That's weird.
She can't hear me.
Because I can't even hear.
Hold on.
On.
Let me see something. She can't hear me. I see what it is. Okay, hold
for
on.
some
Let me answer on the other phone. I'm gonna answer on the phone then.
reason.
All right, no worries. Let me turn my phone on real quick. I see that's the issue. I gotta figure that one
Oh,
out.
that's why.
Yeah. Fine. You guys could hear her fine, but she couldn't hear me. So you gotta have headphones on, Tay. That's what it is. You might be using two different devices, but I'm gonna answer. Yeah. I tell you what, Tay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Yeah. I tell you what. You know what you got to do?
Well, I can hear you on the live, but I can't hear you on the phone.
Put your headphones on.
What?
You got to put your headphones on.
Live, but I can't hear you on the phone.
Put your headphones on.
Okay.
Yeah, then she would be able to hear me, I believe. That's what it is. Um, yeah. Let's give her a second. But let me see who else is in the chat. Let me see what y'all talking about over there before I'm out of here. They combined Animal Farm with 1984, and I have no mouth. Yo, I mean, there's a lot of bad allegations with Epstein Island. Can you hear me now? Either that or I can switch over to my phone. If you can't
I still
figure it out.
can't hear you, but just on the freaking
All right.
live that I have.
Here we go. I know what to do. I'm just going to hit her back on the phone, and then we'll be able to hear her. 2 seconds. Let me just do it that way. Maybe that's the answer. Here we go. You there?
Huh?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you better. Yeah, I can hear you all the way.
All right. I'm going to turn it up. Yeah, this is the alternative way. It's not the best way, but at least we can get you up on the live this way. I got to figure out why you can't hear me. That's weird. But go for it.
Yeah.
Let me know how. So what's on your mind?
Nah, cause when
Talk. Oh, also talk closer to the phone. Talk closer to the mic.
Okay, when we were discussing earlier about like how censored news is, like I have seen more stuff on, I guess the European or Russian version of Instagram than I seen on the U.S. version. And I was like, wow, the stuff I seen was crazy about Epstein files.
Right.
It's like, I don't know, like I'm like, they really hiding a lot of stuff, and it's a lot of dark, gruesome stuff, bro. Like, and back then I used to think that, oh yeah, it's just the Mexican cartel just do things like this and all that. But when you really discover on the other end, it's way worse. It's bad. I don't know. So I was just like wanted to comment on that because I was thinking about that, and I don't know about everything going on. Like I really think now, because since it's like according to these files and everything else, it's been years that things has been planned, and I feel like it's also like a Russian inside job on America on Putin's part. Like, I found it suspicious that Ukraine, like discussing the Ukraine and Russian war when Trump was so-called trying to call for peace treaties or whatever, it was never really a resolution. It was just, spark tensions again. It's almost as if they didn't really discuss anything, but just plans to keep, the war going on, or even other plans for America. Like, I really think that America has been pointing its fingers at people that they call enemies for years, yet it's really centered for them to be allies than our own allies. So, it's kind of crazy to see. And I read like certain situations like these in the different books that they had banned, and it's like all this stuff is happening in real time. Like, I don't even know how to process it, honestly. Yesterday, I was so shook, to see all that, what I had seen. It was crazy. I like literally could not like. I had some chicken out that I was gonna cook, and I did not cook it because I was just like a nerd. I wasn't even hungry no more. But I was talking to a friend, and I was discussing it with them, and they were just like, "Oh, all you should do now is just protect yourself, and ain't nothing we can really do about it." And I'm like, that mindset is the exact reason why they'll get away with what they're doing.
Yeah, this is all anti-people power, and at the end of the day, every person that lives in a country needs to be concerned that they are represented fairly in that society and that they're not being, marginalized and oppressed. Right. So, when I hear this thing, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been this debate about, whether Russia is an ally or whether we've been unfair to Russia and all of that. It's not for us. We need to ask Russian people. How do Russian people feel? But if you pay attention, you can't find that out. It's not too open. It's not allowed. And look, you could be sure at least half of Russia is not happy with Putin being the president. You see what I mean? That no one in their right mind is happy with someone serving for 30 damn years as a leader of any. Why do you need anyone? We don't need it in the U.S. They don't need it in Russia. Nobody. That's what this war is about. That's what this conflict is about. It's not about whether people are perfect. It's not about whether societies don't need room to grow and whether there's not other issues. But if the primary problem is that you don't want your society to be heard, you repress people in your own country, everyone should be against that. Russians should be against Trump repressing American citizens, period. Putin shouldn't be aligning. He should be saying, fuck the U.S. They're repressing their people. Let's have sanctions against them. If he wanted people to see him differently, he should be acting differently, but he's not. He's with it, So
exactly,
that's the problem. So the baseline thing needs to be how is your society working? Is it repressing its own people or not? When you're repressing your own people, we have to stand against that, because if I don't stand against that, when it comes time to my government repressing me, you won't say a damn thing about it. You will be with them to repress. So we have to be against that kind of stuff. So I do understand that there is this narrative out there that Western nations have not been fair. Man, fuck that. Get Putin out of there. Get a new leader and let's see how things work. Like, you can't argue. You can't be out there killing political operatives. You can't be out there repressing, throwing in jail political operatives and then complain about, other people's concerns. That's what it's all about. And I think a lot of people get confused by the disinformation. People power, vote. Get out there and vote. Don't ever start to think that this is about something else. No, this is about representation of the people. You're the one that pay the taxes. It's your country. It's not a few people's country. It's not a couple of billionaires' country. It's not a bunch of oligarchs' fucking country. That and that's the problem. So these rich people, unfortunately, not all rich people, but in some of these problematic countries, these rich people literally think it's their fucking country alone, and they think everybody else are peasants.
Yeah, and it's like first of all, some of those people came from like partnerships. They didn't even create said app or said things themselves. It was a partnership. And people, and they were the ones who got rich from it, from whatever ways, narcissistic ways or whatever. They got that fame and that recognition. And so, and we bought the product and we got them to be where they are. And the fact that they took that, they're taking over, trying to actively take over the government, and while treating us like complete dirt and hiding the fact that they were doing dirty stuff behind the scenes, that's really wild.
Facts.
I don't know. That alone is crazy.
Yeah, because the bottom line is that these kind of activities, don't get me wrong, I understand the issue about what's going on with repression, and with people trying to control, nepotism in the government. trying to only allow leadership to be in a small group of people's hands. That's wrong. I understand that, and that's a serious problem. That's something everybody should understand. But then at the same time, we can't do the same thing and think people won't notice. Like, we can't have these corruptive elements in the U.S., and that's the whole point.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Like, how far do we want this level of corruption to go? Because the corruption, with all this corruption, the only thing that's going to come from it is repression of our own people. So, and they've been doing these things in secret. This is what people said. They said the same thing Putin is doing in Russia is what Trump is trying to do in the U.S. That's exactly what they've been saying. And some people still haven't figured it out. They're losing their rights. It's because they didn't see how it was done in Russia. So they don't see it being done to them in the U.S. But it's the same playbook. Turn people against each other, repress them piece by piece. First, start off repressing the group that you can get somewhere. So they first start off with the minorities, the immigrants.
Yep.
And then, meanwhile, they will strip away everyone's rights to go after the minorities and the immigrants. And the next thing you know, everything they're doing is backfiring on the other people that supported it too. The average everyday person that supports this shit is going to affect them too. So their GDP is going to go down. Even if you don't like immigrants, you're going to lose your job. Even if you don't like immigrants, you're going to lose your First Amendment right. Even if you don't like immigrants, you're going to lose your Fourth Amendment right. Then it's going to be a police state. It's going to be a full-blown police state because you didn't stand up against it from the jump. You see what I mean?
When will people learn that like hatred and racism is like the biggest factor? It's the biggest. What can I say? It backfired. It's
Divide.
Expensive.
Yeah, divide and conquer, basically, and it doesn't matter who you do it against, if it's about race or if it's about something else, because it can be about anything. When they want to divide people, it can just be a difference in politics. It doesn't have to be color. It doesn't have to be gender. It could be gender too. They did that with gender, so it's always about divide and conquer. And, that's, I think, one of the things Americans are finding out, because we haven't experienced this level of corruption before. So we're new to it, but if we don't stomp it out, we could have the worst level of oppression that the world has ever seen. We could be the next Third Reich, like straight up. And and they didn't win either. You see what I mean? So this is just insanity what we're seeing right now. And I would say, since I live in Europe, and you always have to think about the place you live too. You know what I mean? I would say Europe, watch what happens to the U.S. and protect yourself from these same tactics. You are not wrong for wanting to protect your society. Standing up for democracy, standing up for a decent living wage, these kind of things. These are things worth having. Civil rights are things worth having because they are coming for you. They're scared. Elon Musk, he got a built-in plan, and he's trying to throw it out there. If he loses his power in the U.S., he wants somewhere else to go, because he knows if the Trump regime falls, he is out too. He knows that. So he's looking for some place to run right now. He's looking for some other country to run to. So he's going to interfere in other people's election because he wants someplace else to go. He's depending on it. If
everywhere else for his escape plan in his school.
Exactly.
It's like, bro.
Yeah, and if he's already reached the top. The problem with him is that there's no place else to go but down now. That's his problem. And he's looking, but it ain't going to work, But in any case, I appreciate you hopping up. Anything else you want to say?
No, that's pretty much all. Those two things, big aspects, I hope people really pay attention to everything and, don't have this defeatist attitude, especially America, about changing its power, because the power is within us,
Yes.
No matter if it's Israel behind it or whoever's behind it, the power has always been us, and that's what we need to get to it for real.
Exactly. Otherwise, there's nothing. If the power's not from the people, then there's nothing.
Yeah.
And
that's all I'm trying to say. My bad.
No worries.
My bad about the technical difficulties.
Huh?
I said my bad about the technical difficulties.
No worries. Yo, I think I got to figure something out. There's one other thing I need to do to make sure you can hear me when you call in on WhatsApp. But everybody can hear you just fine when you're calling in. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to work on that today. But no worries. We work it out. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, B. Thank y'all.
Okay. Peace. We talk. Yeah. And so, let me turn this down now because I know I had to turn it up a little to make sure the phone could be heard. But, this is the thing. And folks better recognize it before you lose it. Stand on your values and respect what it is you have before you lose it. And listen, EU, you have much higher rates that was, for everybody that doesn't know, that was Tay in the chat. Tay Bun, yeah, that was her hopping up. And if you want to hop up, send me a message. Go to facebook.com/vmedia, just like it's spelled here, and send me your tag, your user tag in YouTube, so I know who you are, and send me your number, and I'll add it to my WhatsApp list. Then I can be able to give you a call. Right? We can chat on the live. Otherwise, I do have Discord. Here is the Discord link. If that might work better for some, if you know how Discord works, it's already set up. So there you go. There's the link for that too. You can come into my group over there, and then I can have you hop up also. But listen, people from the West, Western people, and I got to speak about who I am. And it doesn't just apply to the West. Democracies on Earth. Democracies are about one man, one vote. They're about representation of the people, right? They're about making sure that the people have rights and that you don't have a tyrant as a leader. That's what this is about. And why did democracies come? Where were they Where did they come from? They came out of repression from nobility, from kings and things like this, and people that thought that everyone else were their servants, right? By law, we're just born into servitude, right? Well, so democracies spring out of that, and so we have democracies, and there's a lot of people that feel like voting in the U.S., that's an interesting topic that they never get anywhere. Listen, this is exactly how they want you to feel. They don't want you voting. And you see how you got Trump. We got Trump. It doesn't matter what came before, but one of the main components of having Trump is a third of the population did not vote in the last presidential election. That's how you got Trump, for sure, right? So, don't do that. Not voting is a vote. If you didn't vote, you voted for Trump. Just make it very clear. What you're getting right now is because more people voted for Trump. That's what you're saying. And if you now didn't vote and you got a problem with Trump, understanding your vote could have been used before this happened, right? Because people said this would happen. Give Kamala Harris her credit. She told you exactly what was going to happen. And it is exactly happening to you right now. Stop pretending. You can't pretend your way out of it. And the EU, be happy. Kudos to the EU for recognizing some of these threats, for standing up for democracy, for standing up for the rule of law. Because look, this level of corruption, no country can survive it. If we survive this in the U.S., it will be by the hair of our chinny chin chin, the skin. It will be by, what I'm saying? It will be because we're lucky. Because this is for Americans in a place where we have more citizens have the right to bear arms than China and Russian citizens put together. We will be lucky if we get past this. You see what I mean? So all the rest of you out there that have thriving democracies, that respect, that believe that taxes are for education, healthcare, housing, fair healthcare, these kind of principles, right? A fair opportunity for everyone, so that you don't have to blame somebody else for why you didn't succeed. It's on you. You have the freedom to achieve what you want if you put your mind and your work to it. All the people that live in democracies like that, understanding what's happening to the U.S. will happen to you if you don't rein in the corruption. They already had a plan. They already had you in sight. If you were in Epstein Island, that was their plan for you too. They were like, yeah, the more the merrier. Come on in here, Queen. Come on in here, Prince. Come on in here. We want to blackmail your ass too. We want to get you because we got a plan for you 10 years later from now. Guess what? You didn't know it. We got a plan for you. And that's what these files are about. So everybody in these files, everyone that lives in a democratic nation on earth should want these files released. You want to know everything in there because you don't want one senator being blackmailed because some people know and everybody don't know. You don't want a Supreme Court justice being blackmailed because just a few powerful people know and everybody don't know. Things like this, senators, judges, not just Supreme Court, but the lower court too, not just the higher Supreme Court, the lower courts too. This type of corruption has to be weeded out, and we can do it. It's happening. They've been got, and now what they're keeping is the rest of the damning shit, which is likely very, very damning. And do not think that your mind has imagined some of the depths of hell that is in the rest of them. Do not assume that your mind can imagine, because some of the things that I've been hearing, like murdering little kids, murdering girls that they thought would go and tell, that's likely to come out too. You don't know if some kid, you don't know what these people were doing just to be in the club. You don't know. But one thing you do know is that some other people know it and they can use it to blackmail. So people are at a crossroads. You decide what kind of place you want and if you respect the freedoms that you have or not. Me, as an American citizen, I'm very grateful for living in the EU. I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for living in the country I live in Denmark. I'm very, very grateful for that. Anybody that knows me, of course, there's always some things that you're like, oh, wait a second, this thing might need to be, checked in on. People might need to look in on this part a little bit more. But overall, I'm very, very lucky because I have the same rights everybody else has, by the way. We're all equals. You see what I mean? Within reason, we're all equals. But if I want to improve myself, I have all the opportunity to improve myself. I don't have anyone else to point the finger at except me. You see what I mean? I can't point a finger at a Dane. I can't point a finger at a Ulaning, my immigrant. I can't point a finger I can't point a finger at the tranny. I can't point a finger at the woman that's having an abortion about my life. I can't point a finger at, the immigrant. You know what I'm saying? I can't even point a finger at an illegal, because at the end of the day, there's enough that I can participate in that makes none of those things that significant to bother my life. I have the freedom to live my life the way I want to. And I'm pretty conservative. I'm a pretty conservative person. That's why I'm saying this. A lot of these people that claim to be conservative really ain't that goddamn conservative. A lot of them are fucking hypocrites, like straight up. So, but I'm conservative, but I don't bother myself with the type of lifestyle other people want to live, because they're free to do that themselves, as long as they're not infringing on my freedoms. You see what I'm saying? And we have the right to do that in the EU. In Europe, we have the right to do that. Let's not let these fools take it from us. You know what I'm saying? And because they don't care, and even in right-wing policy, Elon Musk does not care. Peter Thiel does not care about the right wing. Trump does not care about his voters. He don't care at all. You won't see anything happen for their chances in life. Like straight up, it's not even possible to do. You see what I mean? He took these people for a ride, and that is something Americans need to look at deeply in our own policy. How did we allow these people to run game on us like this? We should be fucking embarrassed. We are embarrassed because we have some sense, but we need to revisit how this was allowed to happen so that it is not allowed to happen again, because guess who's going to have to pay for it? Your children and my children will have to pay for it. And if not, us too. You see what I mean? So on that note, I'm out. I appreciate everybody for coming through as usual. And we're going to catch up with everybody in a few. All right. So y'all be good. 18 hours from now, I'll be back. Thanks a lot, y'all. 1. Impeach Trump. God damn it. Release the Epstein files. God damn it. Let's get it going. All right now. See ya. They want war.
crying babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every crew. Don't let it go, it's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Even 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the brink. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song.
They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversion every tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way that's subtle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison.
They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest